The 540 is better than the M550. Yeah, I said it, but I'll tell you exactly why. If you're looking to buy a G30 and you want a performance car, chances are you're probably considering a 540 and the M550. That's exactly what I did. When I was first looking to buy a G30, I pretty much knew for sure I was going to get the M550. And it's honestly such a good value, that car. Like for a twin turbo V8 and the price you're paying versus like an M5, that thing is so kick-ass. They sound amazing, and they're also so well optioned. It's so easy to find an M550 with all the bells and whistles, including adaptive suspension and the professional driving package, which has active sway bars, which is fucking cool. It'll keep the car flatter. 360 reverse camera or overhead camera, which is fucking rad. I wish I had that. But I test drove a few, and I really did enjoy it, and it sounds brutal. It really sounds awesome. But what made me kind of like step back and really reconsider the 540 was when I was driving the M550, it didn't give me like this feeling that I had to buy it. You know, like, you guys know when you're shopping for a car, and especially when you don't know exactly what you want, you're kind of torn between two trims or two different cars altogether, you know instinctually when you get into it if you're talking yourself into it or if you're like, I have to have this fucking car. You know, it's like those are two different feelings, and we know. Like you know right away or pretty soon after you're driving it. And that's kind of what happened with the M550 with me. What I did was, there was one at a Toyota dealership. It was in good condition, and I think they were asking $39 for it. Maybe it was like $41 now that I think of it. Anyway, it was about the same, it was the same year, 2019 as mine, same miles, like 45K. And I drove it, and it had the multi-contour seats, which were ventilated and massaged, which I didn't like. They were actually stiff and uncomfortable, to be honest with you. But I sat in it, and that was my first real experience with the G30. And I was driving it around, and I reset the tripometer, and they let me go on the freeway, and it was pretty trafficy at the time, which is my life, as I've said several times in this channel. And while I'm driving it, I'm like, dude, like, this is fun. Like, this is an awesome car, and it sounds great, and it's comfortable. But I was like, dude, what I was more stoked on was the 5 Series in general. I was stoked on the G30 in general, because that was my first time in one. And I was like stoked on how quiet it is and how spacious it is and all this stuff. But I was like, I wasn't really like, I have to have the M550. I have to have this sound. I have to have this power. I floored it, and it's fucking crazy. It's fun. And I see why people are like, just get the M550 over the M5. I know it's not the same thing, but if you're not gonna track the car and you just want a fast car that's turnkey and ready to go and it's badass, that's the M550. What made me really step back from it though was not only that I wasn't having that feeling, but it was also just the fucking gas mileage I was getting. You know, I've said several times on the content that I've posted that the gas mileage on the 540 spanks the M550, and it does. And I'm in traffic 70% of my commute, like bumper to bumper Los Angeles traffic, and I'm getting 18. Like right now on my average, it says my average speed is 27.7, which is actually higher than normal, because this last week I've had pretty open highway, and I'm getting 20.8 miles a gallon. But normally I'm in the low 20s average speed, like 23, 24, which is slow, guys, average speed total. And my MPG's around 18. In the M550 test drive, I was getting 13, like 12 or 13 miles a gallon. That was the first flag for me. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna have to be gassing this up probably more than once a week, which is a pain in the ass. And it's expensive, dude. I'm in LA. Gas is like fucking $6 a gallon sometimes. So that was one of the major things for me. And also just kind of like looking into the M550, they are, you know, I think the year I was looking at was on their second technical update of the engine, the N63. I think it's the N63, the twin turbo V8. And it's a lot better than the first version of that engine, but it still has issues. You know, it's a hot V design. And I called my BMW mechanic, he has his own shop, and they're out in the Burbank area. And I asked his opinion. He's like, look, dude, he's like, they're good on gas. It's a cool car. But he's like, around 80,000 miles, you're gonna have issues. I didn't ask him specifics. I honestly forget what he said. But his whole sentiment was like, look, they're not awful, but they have their problems. And I said, cool, what about the 540? He's like, the 540, B58, great fucking car. He's like, even if it has 80,000 miles, buy it. And I was laughing. And he's like, honestly, like, you know, if you can get a lower mileage, get a lower mileage. But his whole point was, they're awesome. So that's also where I was like, dude, what am I doing here? So then I test drove the 540 for the first time, and I punched it, and I was like, fuck me, dude. Like, from the factory, it was plenty for me. But more importantly, I'm like, I know what I can turn this into. I know what the stage 1 even, which I have now. And it's true. It's fucking crazy. It's not like a rocket, but in terms of what I need for a daily driver, it's fucking fine, and I'm still getting good gas mileage. And I am gonna go stage 2 plus. I am gonna get an exhaust, because that's something else too, is like, with the 540, you're not gonna get any drama. The M550 really is a turnkey car, meaning you don't really need to mod it. Like, once you buy that thing, it kind of has everything going for it, you know? All the options and everything. So in that regard, it's a great value. But in terms of like, if you want to make the smarter financial decision, and this is why I say the 540 is a better buy than the M550, is financially speaking, strictly, if you're on more of a budget, get the 540. I saved like 8 to 10 grand on the purchase price alone. I'm saving 25, 30% on gas versus the M550. The reliability is going to be better, even when I tune this thing. And just overall, I think it's just a smarter car to get. Don't get me wrong, love the M550. I think it's a badass car, but between the two, that's my honest opinions on the two. And it's not just me coping because I have a 540. I was going to buy the M550. I can afford to run the M550, and I didn't get it. And it's not because I can't afford it. I can't afford an M5. I'd fucking love that too. I just think the 540 is smarter. That's all. You guys can find me in the comments. You can call me an idiot. That's fine. I actually like engaging with both positive and negative comments. And you know, we're all learning stuff every day, including myself. But that's about it. I hope you found value in this video. If you're considering both cars, that's my thoughts. And until next time, have a good one.